Hey, it's Sean from the Commander's Brew. We're doing a brand new Dominaria United Commander, Tetsuo Imperial Champion. The guy with the Jite, or he invented it. He's holding a sword. Anyway, it turns out there's a lot of ways to go with this commander, so I'm going to present you a bunch of different ways to go. A whole grab bag of Tetsuo options. Oh, and Darksteel Eric's here too. Ooh, hey there, Darksteel Eric, representative for Darksteel Industries. Sean. Yes, Eric. It's Darksteel Eric. I didn't go to Darksteel school for 7 years just to be called Eric. I'm sorry, Darksteel Eric. If we're going to be working together, we need to do some kind of team building exercise. Well, we don't work together. You just tell me what to do. Right. So after you're done recording, we'll go do our team building. Okay, what are we going to do? Slumber Party. Bring PJs and a list of your crushes. See ya. Okay, let's look at Tetsuo. 3-mana commanders, very nice. That means we can probably recast him a couple of times in a game, if we need to. And we've got an attack trigger, well, 2 of them, but we get to choose one. And it's all based on what kind of equipment is attached, the mana value. That phrase, the highest mana value among equipment attached to it. So we can either fling damage equal to that mana value, or we can cast a free instant or sorcery equal to that mana value. So we need to look at the mana value of equipment. You know, this is really fascinating. Guess how many equipments there are in the 14 billion cards in the history of Magic. Okay, granted, equipment wasn't around from the beginning. Guess how many cost 5 or more to cast? 12. There are 12 pieces of equipment that cost 5 or more. The rest cost 4 or under. That's wild to me. Elbrus the Binding Blade, that one costs 7, only 1 to equip, but I don't think we can really use this because once we connect, we lose the blade and we never get to do it again. Unreliable. Necropouncer is the cheapest equip cost on any 6-drop equipment on the 3 that there are. I guess the living weapon thing bumps the cost up a bunch. +3, +1 in haste is fine for 2 equip, that's okay, but we can't rely on it. There's just not enough equipment that big, so I want to brew a deck and be able to kind of predict what we're doing. So we got to look to mana value 4, specifically things with 1 equip cost. We got Trailblazer's Torch. I like getting the initiative going in a game. That's always a fun thing to do. Brass Knuckles is especially cool. I mean, we're obviously an equipment deck, so getting multiple copies of this is great. They each equip for 1, and I think we'll be able to split up the Knuckles and the copy to give 2 different creatures double strike if it makes sense. And there's also a series of equipment that actually don't cost anything to equip. You got to pay something else. I mean, they cost something, just not mana. Demon Mail Halberg. Anyway, you sack a creature to equip this one. Murderer's Axe asks us to discard a card to equip it. Same with Pact Weapon. And we get that nifty little not losing the game clause. We lose a little bit of life every time we attack, but we do gain that card back that we had to discard to equip it. And depending how we brew the deck, Nightmare Lash could give us the biggest bonus for that 3 life. I mean, I don't love a 3 life as a payment. We can only do that so many times. I'm not planning on putting in a ton of life gain to counteract that, but it's another piece of equipment that equips for free. And there's about 1 billion equipment that are mana value 4 that can equip for 2 or less. I'll go over a couple of those later on. I do want to give a special mention to Runed Crown. It's a 3-mana equipment, so it's not quite that ceiling of 4. It does equip for 2, but the key is that it searches up a rune whenever we cast it. I think they're all good enough to go in the deck. They don't change the equip cost, but it kind of augments the equipment. Obviously, we'll be enchanting equipment with these runes. We've got to turn Tetsuo sideways to get in, unless he has vigilance from an equipment. So I'd want a way to protect him. A little bit of evasion, something like that. Seems good. Speaking of protection, Oathkeeper, Takino's Daisho is a pretty cool equipment. 3 mana equips for 2, not exactly the numbers we're looking for, but Tetsuo is a samurai, so this is sort of like protection from 1 kill. It does make us a little bit more vulnerable to artifact removal because if they destroy the Oathkeeper, Tetsuo goes too. Fair trade. And I want to call out one other samurai, Heiko Yamazaki the General. We're not aiming to be a Voltron deck specifically by just making Tetsuo huge, but I suspect that he will be the only samurai attacking a lot. So we'll get to cast artifacts from our graveyard this turn, and we run a ton of them, and people want to destroy them. So I think Heiko Yamazaki, you make the cut. So now, no matter what way we go with Tetsuo, we've got that as a base. We're looking at 4 mana value equipment, and I think we can reliably run enough of them and get them moving around pretty cheaply that we can expect that value to be 4. So let's explore the instants and sorceries first. I went looking for pretty unique effects or things we could probably brew around. Needless to say, there's infinity 4 mana draw spells. I like that Behold the Multiverse lets us foretell it as an option if we don't have Tetsuo and some equipment going on. Chemist's Insight is nice because we get to also cast it from the graveyard to kind of double dip. If the first one's free, I don't mind paying 4 mana for the second one. But if you look at the way Tetsuo is worded, we will get to cast that instant and sorcery right now in combat. So we get sorceries. One with a Machine is a pretty potent sorcery that we will probably be drawing 4 with. 4 mana equipment after all. And we'll be able to cast Deep Analysis for free because of Tetsuo, goes right into the graveyard, then we can pay 1 and a blue and 3 life to draw a total of 4 cards. Sweet deal. And as I said, I couldn't find any signature style 4 mana value instants or sorceries that kind of seem like they're worth brewing around. A couple of interesting ones though do include Disrupt Decorum, classic 4 mana go to everything, and a Hurl Through Hell. Nice little removal. It's only overcosted if you have to actually pay for it, but then we get to make a copy of the creature ourselves. That seems pretty good. Hey, me again, Darksteel Eric, just reminding you to like and subscribe. It really helps out Darksteel Industries. And now, 2 ads, 1 fake, 1 real. Seasons tickets are now on sale for the Darksteel Sentinels, Magic's premier triple EA softball team. EA being that weird combined letter in that used to be Ether, triple that. Softball team. Season ticket holders to the home opener get a Nenid Thovok Grinning Fiend bobblehead. The perfect accessory to go on your bedroom shelf in a spot where it has an unobstructed view of you sleeping. And no more than 4 feet off the ground, please. No reason. It's not like it's going to come alive while you sleep or anything. And now the real ad from the Wizard's Tower. WizardTower.com has all of your article and cool deck tech needs, and additionally, if you are in Canada, you can use coupon code BREWDOUBLE to get a 5% discount on all your single orders if you spend $20 or more, shipped anywhere in Canada. That's a triple EA deal. And now back to the show. Play ball! And so here's where our journey breaks off into multiple paths. Which way do we go with Tetsuo? Let's lean on the damage side of things first. Since we'll be flinging damage around, and it's Tetsuo that does the damage, we'll be interested in giving him Death Touch. Something like Basilisk Collar means every time we fling that 4 damage, even if the thing's massive, it'll die unless it has Indestructible, and we'll be gaining life while we do it. Seems good for all those equip costs that cost us life. Quiet as Spike, same thing, Death Touch. And now they're incentivized to really make sure they block Tetsuo. Losing half your life is a lot, unless you're at like 2. And Vorpal Sword. It comes down cheaper and it equips cheaper, so I like that. And that is a scary clause. Your opponents just have to do something about it because they could lose the game. That might actually be too scary. Maybe we don't want that kind of attention. And I'll save in some of the best for last, and that's Scythe of the Wretched. I'll remind you, Tetsuo is the creature doing the damage, so if we get to fling our 4 damage at a creature and kill it, it comes back to play under our control. We do have to attach the Scythe to it, and so that'll cost us to move it back. But if it's got an ETB ability and we can sacrifice it, the Scythe has nowhere to go, and we still get the value while keeping the Scythe equipped. And so if we're flinging damage around, what if that damage never went away? I'm talking Wither. Wither's a weird effect that says that damage dealt to creatures is dealt in the form of -1/-1 counters. So we fling that 4 damage somewhere, that's sticking around. It's a nice way to cut big things down a little bit smaller and not waste the trigger. Fist of the Demigod does the same thing, but also give Tetsuo First Strike. And then maybe we just run Everlasting Torment. Nobody can gain life, nobody can prevent damage, and all damage is Wither. And of course, if I'm talking about -1/-1 counters, you're probably thinking about Infect, Grafted Exoskeleton. Here's another one of those 4 mana equipments that equips for 2. It gives something Infect. Tetsuo has Infect now, and that 4 damage that we fling around, we can go to players and give them 4 poison counters right away. more if Tetsuo connects. That 4 damage from the first attack trigger plus the 5 power and toughness Tetsuo has while equipped with this, that's just 1 point away from a kill. And although Tainted Strike does give an extra +1/+0 and is always fun, I prefer to use this spell when I'm not already infected. I like that to come as a surprise. Maybe some brass knuckles, giving ourselves double strike. It's a fun way to knock someone out, in my opinion. There's another 4-mana instant or sorcerer I want to bring up. Irenicus's Vile Duplication. Another card in the trend of copying creatures, but they're allowed to also be legendary because they don't count as legendary anymore. Anyway, we can get a second Tetsuo. If we've got enough equipment to go around, we can get double the triggers now. 2 Tetsuos coming in, flinging 8 damage. And if that weren't enough, we can put in Spark Double. It's not a spell, but I'd like another Tetsuo, please. We could even run something like Mirror Box and some clones just to have more copies of Tetsuo. If each one's equipped with something, I kind of don't care what at this point. I'm flinging damage all over the place. I'm casting free instants and sorceries. And if that's our game plan, I probably want to run a Rite of Replication. Now this one's interesting. We attack with Tetsuo, and we have a 4 mana value equipment attached because that's how we built the deck. So we get to put this on the stack for free. But then we have the opportunity to pay the kicker cost. The first part's free, but we're only paying kicker. Then we can get 5 copies of the hopefully already non-legendary copy of Tetsuo. That is a reasonable amount of Tetsuos. And so this got me thinking, what are other additional costs we can take advantage of? Alternative costs don't work, but an additional cost gets paid at this point. So something like Inscription of Insight is just incredible. The main 4-mana is the free part, and all we gotta pay is 2 blue to choose all 3 of these effects. I like it. Waste Management is a spell that doesn't look great unless you can kick it, and I'll be quite honest, I wasn't too interested in the 7 mana kicker total, but if I can get that first part for free and just pay 4 for this effect, it's starting to look pretty good. Another additional cost mechanic is buyback, so we could run something like Capsize. The first 3's free, and then we pay the 3 as buyback, so it's always in our hand. And Collective Defiance is maybe the only good example of Escalate. We get that 3 for free, and then we pay 1 to choose a second one, or we pay 2 to choose all 3. One of the choices is doing 4 to target creature, so it's sort of like we also did the 4 damage with Tetsuo. Here's a couple of options. We can maybe just run some of these cards if we like them, but what's another direction to go in? Well, the clue for this one came from a different kicker card. Maddening Cacophony. Getting the front for free, but kicking it for 4 and having each opponent mill half of their libraries. I know what you're thinking. You can't win by milling half the library. That's just not good enough. That's why I'm looking at spells like Mystic Retrieval or Bond of Insight. We can cast both of them for free to get back cards like Maddening Cacophony. Now I know a half of a half doesn't really do anything. You'll never get to 0. That's when you switch to just casting and making everyone mill 8. Or maybe at that point you hit him with Atasha's Hideous Laughter. So that's one option. You brew sort of a mill thing where you try to hit everyone with key mill spells and getting them back for free with Tetsuo. It's like playing dominoes because every idea takes you to the next idea. If we're willing to put a deck together where we get back a couple of key instants or sorceries, let's look for other key instants or sorceries. Major style points if you can cast something like Praetor's Grasp, get a key piece of someone else's deck, get back Praetor's Grasp, do it again, and beat someone with their own deck's plan. And then we've got stuff like Covetous Urge to also get something out of their hand or their graveyard. And we're a decent mix of artifacts and instants or sorceries, so I think we can get Talent of the Telepath to hit with Spell Mastery. I think this card doesn't get played much because it's a 4-mana sorcery, but if we can do it with Tetsuo, flip 7, and cast 2 of those things for free, it's a good deal. I think this brew where you're trying to get at other people's stuff is probably going to require most of the deck to be built towards that. Maybe you do that plus the mill. Maybe those things combine. I could see that being a cool option. Tetsuo is a samurai, and we're talking about equipment. So I gotta mention Godo Bandit Warlord, who we will cast, and they'll find right away Helm of the Host. I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with this combo already. One of the drawbacks of Helm of the Host is how much it costs to cast and equip put together, but if Godo can put it straight to the battlefield, that's a bonus. And then if we can get Godo equipped, we're making a new Godo every combat step with haste, and that new Godo untaps all of the samurai. Then Helm triggers, we get a new Godo, which gives us a new combat step, which gives us a new Godo, etc., etc. But I might remind you, Tetsuo is a samurai, so Tetsuo is also untapping and getting extra combats that way. So here's one more for you. And this one definitely will take up most of the deck slots. I don't think you can combine this next one with much else. Dragon's Approach. We can cast it for free if Tetsuo attacks. We're probably going to run like 25 or 30 of them. And then we can put out something like Hellkite Charger. This will cost us 7 mana to get an extra combat step. But if we can equip it with the new Reaver Cleaver, we'll get most of that treasure each time. We're one short. Maybe Ancient Copper Dragon comes out to play as well. If you have over $50, that's too much. Ooh, that's Tetsuo. A lot of options there. I think except for that Dragon's Approach one, you can probably cram most of them in together. It seems fun, very versatile. Let me know in the comments what you would do with Tetsuo. And in the meantime, you keep being you. The world's a better place for it. See you next time. And I just gotta say, I always get so nervous around her at the water coolers. I mean, she's so cool. She is the voice of the Darksteel Industries home assistant. So, I mean, everybody knows who Darksteel Ingrid is. And I just want to make sure that when I talk to her, I just play it cool. She's just a regular person who works at Darksteel Industries. I mean, she knows who I am, and everybody knows who she is, but she knows of me, I'm pretty sure. We've been to a bunch of corporate parties together, so we've got that going for us. Oh, I'm sorry, am I boring you? No. Okay, good. So anyway, I'm pretty sure she's single because I know she had a boyfriend. He was some sort of model, movie star type of person. Really cool dude. But anyway, I don't think they're together anymore because I check her Instagram sometimes. I definitely follow her.